It's alright. We can do a little bit of a mashup here because today we had ourselves news that two guys from two of my favorite teams had been placed on waivers. So, let's go in chronological order here. Elliot Friedman ended up tweeting this at 11 a.m. that Ville Husso of the Detroit Red Wings is on waivers today. He also went out there and tweeted 1 minute later that Alex Barre-Boulet from Montreal was also on waivers, as the team has announced. So let's dive into these two guys. Let's talk about the guy that was placed first, I guess. You could talk about Husso from the Detroit Red Wings. Look, plain and simple, he's not it. Straight up, this is a guy whose job was already in jeopardy heading into the season. Everybody kind of knew, hey, Ville Husso is not really that great. He was hurt last year, so there's the benefit of the doubt that exists with him and his profile. But look, I mean, it was never really that special for the Detroit Red Wings. .919 save percentage in St. Louis in 40 games in 21-22, yes, but the next two seasons saw him put up an .896 with Detroit in 22-23 and an .892 with Detroit in 23-24. Husso was never really that guy. And it's unfortunate because he is one of the younger players compared to the other dudes that have been rotating around the Wings goaltending core. James Reimer, older. Cam Talbot, older. But for Ville Husso, after putting up a strong preseason showing and starting out Game 1 against the Boston Bruins, he totally crapped the bed, had a .714 save percentage and a .942 goals against average. If the guy gets sent down and he doesn't end up playing a game with the rest of the Red Wings season, then his goals against will stay at .942. That's crazy, honestly. And the fact is, when you think about what the Wings have in Lyon and Talbot, we had talked about this in the video literally just a few hours ago. Cam Talbot is great, and I'm a really big believer in him and his profile. I liked him a lot in LA and in Minnesota, so he's probably gonna be good enough to stick around in the starter capacity with Lyon as the backup. Ville Husso and his albatross of a $4.75 million AAV contract that expires at the end of the season, yeah, it's going down to the AHL. Unfortunately, I don't think anybody's going to claim him. I don't think anybody would really have any reason to. But at the same time, when you think about Ville Husso, I think his reputation precedes him as one of these just not-so-great guys anymore, ever since his days suiting up with Detroit starting in 2022. Like, I cannot overstate just how not confident I am every time Ville Husso plays a game. Preseason be damned, the guy was great there, but man, the Boston game set the tone, and the game yesterday against the Nashville Predators cemented into the rest of the Red Wings psyche that Cam Talbot is just that guy. And Alex Lyon, he's done enough from last season to believe in him, so with Lyon and Talbot being the guys here as the main Detroit tandem, it's not really all too surprising. Now, with the Red Wings in the picture, I wanted to also talk about their farm team, the Grand Rapids Griffins in the AHL, because as we had spoken about yesterday, guess what? Sebastian Cossa looked pretty good in the Griffins' opening game against the Providence Bruins. Sebastian Cossa had himself a shutout, and now, with goaltenders in that system, you've got Cossa, you've got Jack Campbell, you've got Malcolm Subban, you've got Carter Gielander. Now, Jack Campbell himself is in the NHL's Players Assistance Program, so he's not gonna probably suit up for the foreseeable future. Malcolm Subban is on an AHL deal, and Carter Gielander is there too. So we'll see how exactly the Griffins rotate with 4 goalies in the system, 5 once Jack Campbell comes back. So this is not really the best news, I would say, for Sebastian Cossa. If you're a fan of him and his development, you were wanting to prioritize his growth in the AHL, it wasn't really the best thing to have another goalie sent down there, especially one who's making $4 million. But Ville Husso, sorry, this is not really all too surprising considering his caliber of play. I honestly thought it was inevitable. It's just a question as to whether or not Steve Yzerman and his pride would allow the Red Wings to send a $4 million guy down to the AHL on waivers. He's not going to get claimed. Hell no, there's no reason any team is going to go out there and claim him unless they really just need an expensive goalie and they wanted to reach the cap floor. I could see Columbus maybe going out there and trying their hand if they wanted to push themselves into further cap compliance territory, but that's about it. other than that, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Ville Husso getting placed on waivers and whether or not this move surprises you. But let's talk about the other guy that was placed on waivers as well. It is Alex Barre-Boulet from the Montreal Canadiens. Now, Barre-Boulet had a pretty good showcase in the preseason, in my opinion. Watching him on the lines with Oliver Kapanen, watching him with Emil Heineman, that was a good line. And Barre-Boulet, at 27 years old, 5'10", 181, is certainly in a position to either make or break the National Hockey League. He has never been a full-time consistent dude, always splitting the load between the NHL and the AHL, but I've always been a fan of him ever since his days with the Blainville-Boisbriand Armada and the QMJHL. He was in the Tampa system for so long, had 9 points in 36 games with the Lightning last year, and then in the preseason with the Canadiens, he looked pretty good too. He had some really good centering passes and some nice drives to the net, but in the 2 games played that he has had, he's got 0 points. He also was a healthy scratch in the most recent game for Montreal, which indicates where the Habs were feeling on Barre-Boulet and his overall profile. He had signed a contract with the Canadiens earlier in the offseason, and I thought that he'd be a pretty good addition. He made the team out of camp after all. But ever since then, he made himself known on the 4th line, and with some of the other guys around the Canadiens organization, you've got Pezzetta, you've got Catton, and you've got the Raphael Harvey Pinards coming back soon. Not to mention the fact that Kapanen and Heineman were just better. Like, straight up, these guys proved that they belonged in the league. They won those roster spots. Barre-Boulet did not do enough to keep his foot in the door. That door just kind of slammed on his foot and he pulled it away, jumped up and down on one knee and said, ow, ow, ow. Yeah, no, weird analogy. I'm sorry. But still, point is, he got outworked and beaten out for that roster spot. There was always going to be somebody getting sent down. This is not surprising considering the Barre-Boulet path. Now, what I'm also interested in is Barre-Boulet's waiver history, because this is not the first song and dance that Barre-Boulet has had with the waiver wire situation. Take a look at this. He had himself a waiver claim by the Seattle Kraken on October 11th, 2021, and then just 10 days later, he was claimed off of waivers again by the Tampa Bay Lightning from Seattle. So this has been kind of a process for Barre-Boulet. I remember making 2 videos in a row in 2021 about him being claimed off of waivers twice. So he was sent down by Tampa, claimed by Seattle, sent down by Seattle, claimed by Tampa. Kind of a similar Raphael Lavoie situation there. And because Tampa was the only team to claim him the second time, they were allowed to send him to the AHL scot-free. So we'll see if the Seattle Kraken get their grubby tentacles on Alex Barre-Boulet once again, if they're deciding to just screw over with the Canadiens' plans on forward and taking this guy up. Having Barre-Boulet in the Laval Rocket system would be pretty interesting. It would be cool to see him meshing with some of the other guys that are there. Philip Mayshar could use some support. Logan Mailloux could have another guy up there to put in some of his passes. And, of course, the Habs prospects are looking pretty good, so having a veteran depth option like Barre-Boulet down there in Laval would be a nice extra addition to that squad. But either way, if you're a Canadiens fan or a Red Wings fan, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Ville Husso getting placed on waivers, as well as Alex Barre-Boulet getting placed on waivers too. What are your thoughts on these guys and the way they've performed to start out the 24-25 season? Do you think they're going to stay in the AHL for long? How do you feel about these moves here? I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.